Take a seat.
Hey!
We're ready for you.
NFT.NYC, how is everyone?
Yeah.
Come on. That's a Web 2.0 response. How is everyone? There we go. That's right. Thank you. I am Harmon Leon. I am a filmmaker, a visual artist, but what ties me together with this group, I'm a journalist for Super Rare, and over the past year, I've been very fortunate to interview such interesting and innovative people in the NFT space, from artists to collectors to, I interviewed AI, I interviewed Botto, if any Botto fans, Mario Klingman's Little Frankenstein creation. But today we have a fascinating panel, and what ties everyone together is everyone has started in the NFT space roughly around those archaic days of January 2021. Some of the NFT OGs go back to 2016. So the point is, we are at NFT 1.0. So the rules are still being carved into stone here. So without further ado, we have a fascinating panel. Please give them some warm, non-fungible token love. I think everyone just, we'll go online, introduce yourselves, and tell us how you got into the NFT space. Tell us a little bit about your origin story.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here. So my name is Chris, and for me, I'm from the OG style. So I started my crypto journey in 2016, 2017, CryptoKitties. So I've been in the space. I've seen the NFT space disappearing for 2018, 2019, then growing back up. So it's great to see now this conference, how we've grown, how we've evolved. So mainly, I am co-founder and CEO and CTO of Colossal Bit, MetaTerras, and Caloscope. So basically what we do, we are a NFT and metaverse consulting and development company. We help Web3, Web2 companies on board to Web3. We guide them, we build for them their technology, the smart contract. This is what we do at Colossal Bit. Caloscope, it's our a version of a metaverse-based social media platform. And MetaTerras, it's a real-life restaurant in Dubai, in the IFC, where we created a replica one-to-one version in the metaverse. So people can go there, put their headset on, and walk around as if they are walking in real life, but they see the metaverse version of MetaTerras. They can join with live event. It's a special experience that still not you cannot see anywhere else. That's it, mainly.
Very cool.
Cool. Hey guys, my name is Jake. I joined the crypto space back in around 2015 or so, majorly doing a lot of investments and advising for quite some time. But I got into the NFT space actually through a great project and also a friend of ours through Sandbox Games from Animoca Brands. Been advised to them as well when they were launching their first land NFTs. And it was actually the chairman who really sort of got me going to understand what the NFT culture is really like. And basically after that kind of a story in my life, I was looking into and working with a lot of real estate companies, and there was a huge community of members that wanted to basically own a piece of properties in real life, but sometimes they couldn't. And as that community really grew, believe it or not, they basically wanted to think, can we actually own a piece of land on NFTs? And while that community really grew, I decided to launch a platform called Clay City. And a lot of our community is in South Korea, though. But I wanted to basically reach out and tell you guys a story, what's happening also in Asia as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pierina. I'm the founder and CEO of FlickPlay. FlickPlay is a Web3 social app where people can unlock and flex their NFTs. So a good way to visualize it is the gamification of Pokemon Go meets a platform like TikTok. So you can really unlock NFTs, but also build your identity with the things that you own digitally. I started the company in 2019, so a little bit earlier than the last wave, not quite earlier as these two here. And when some people think or see FlickPlay as a platform that is bringing digital metaverses into the real world, and some people see FlickPlay as a metaverse in the real world. So depending on your definition of what a metaverse is, the definition or the meaning of the platform change for yourself. And because of that, some of our partners range from metaverse platforms like the Sandbox to cities that we become the underlying map, digital map that redesign or reshape how people interact with their cities through digital layers.
Yeah, so let's just throw this open for like a panel discussion. So there's a lot of optimism in the space, and there's also a lot of noise and hype. What do you think will take to make a project that will stand the test of time?
Well, yeah, let me start. We've seen a lot of projects already in the NFT space coming and disappearing, and we've seen a lot of projects coming and now even growing, even though we are in a bear market, let's say. So mainly, I've seen, in my opinion, the NFT space is about connecting with people, connecting with our community, bringing more value to the community first than to the project. This is what we've seen. These projects that are now we call blue chip or holding on and getting growing bigger and bigger. This is bringing more value to the community, engaging with the community, and also we are seeing the brands trying to enter the space because they see how NFTs can bring them closer to their customers and how they can interact with their customer in a new way. So whatever project we see that they will be able to withstand and grow is the project that are bringing more value to the community, that are getting closer to the community and growing together.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Chris. And essentially, I think addressing the community and talking directly with them and engaging with them, but also at the same time, making the right speed of execution, I think is a very important part. As we know it, right, Web3, it's probably the fastest space, and there's a lot of memes around saying you spend, few weeks in Web3 and you age around 10 years, right? So I think, from by far we have probably the most talented developers and people around in the space, no doubt, and being able to work with a team and collaborate and do the executing all of the things would be great. And essentially, I think crypto in general is also a part of like a metaverse, like a dream island as well. So letting the community stretch their imagination, having the right infrastructure and platforms like either a DAO or governance tools to, address a lot of these issues and prioritize a lot of the execution is probably the key. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of times we confuse like Web3 with NFTs, and with some people think it's the same thing. But what we need to understand is that we currently are interacting with our NFTs in marketplaces, right? So there are very, very few consumer experiences that are building the utility of the things that we own digitally. It's exactly like buying something in Amazon and just being able to interact with it within your shopping cart, right? That's how early we are in this space. And I think that there are a few metaverse platforms, including ourselves, FlickPlay, that is thinking about interoperability, is thinking about consumer experiences. How can anything that you buy online that represents or that you get, tangible or intangible, that represents your identity could play a fundamental part in not only how you build your identity, but how you also build the value of the things that you own digitally based on how you interact with them. So I think like the short answer to your question is more consumer experiences. Think less about IP-driven metaverses and think more about infrastructure that is gonna power the interaction of any type of digital assets within ecosystems. That is something that at FlickPlay we take very serious. We currently have a partnership with Sandbox, and our vision is to create true interoperability across both ecosystems. Sandbox has incredible partnership with many brands, right? But all these different brands do have a physical presence in the real world. And when you think about the utility of digital assets when you're sitting in your desktop playing a game, how can you stretch that experience whenever you're walking in a street in your city? How can owning something within the metaverse, a metaverse world can extend your experience in the real world and build the likability and utility of those assets. So those are just like really core and foundational concepts that the industry have started to think of, but it's so early in the process. Not very few platforms are actually building the utility of them.
And what are you finding different from Metaverse 2 to Metaverse 3?
Metaverse 3.
I don't even know what that means.
Web3. I tend to think Web3 as, I'm a little bit of a purist, so
It's
what
an
I mean.
umbrella term. It's an umbrella term where many modalities lie. So within Web3, like if you think about Web 1, is you receive information, right? So it's the first era where a computer, like those big computers, will give you information. Web 2, we become creators, right? So you not only receive information and send information, but you create information and distribute it, and this is the era of social media. This is the creator, I mean, I wouldn't say the creator's economy era, but the creator's era, right? Where we were in a position of power to be able to not only consume information, but become creators of information. And as we think about Web3, all these modalities within Web 1 and 2 exist within Web 3, but now we're introducing blockchain, which is pretty much a ledger that is registering every transaction that comes in and out. So now when you share information, you're not, there is a ledger that is tracking where that information goes and lies, transactability. So now, as creators, we're also able to monetize the content that we push out there. And we're able to track the beginning and end stage of it, which you wouldn't be able to do if you just post an image on the internet, right? We're still very early in the process, right? And for this to really grow to become the next generation of the internet, we need to fully transition to everything that lies on the web be run through the blockchain, right? But that is Web3. And then you have Metaverse, which is something that powers Web3, because now games like Fortnite or existing games are not worried about not being able to monetize their IP. Someone takes it out of their app, because Web3 and blockchain is enabling them to monetize and track where their digital assets win some sort of financial and social relevance within the ecosystem.
Yeah,
Sorry,
great.
go ahead.
Yeah, great. On that point, to add a little bit. So yeah, you mentioned this. So in the Web 2, we are content creator, but we don't own our content. The content is owned by the big companies. We will not mention the name, but all we know, we log in using Facebook, log in using Meta or Google. On the Web 3, this is where we log in using our own wallet, where we own our content. We are the content creator, and we own our content, and we are able to monetize our content in the metaverse or in other ways, and by doing the NFTs within our community. But this is where we see the power that is bringing back to us, where we own our content and we are able to monetize our content and leverage the opportunity in the metaverse.
Yeah, so that sounds all, utopian, but what's also the downfall of that?
Okay, so there is also some downfalls because as we know, on the blockchain everything is traceable. We can know everything. We can see some shady transaction like usually what's happened, but we see it more of empowering the user, which is there is always some positive, some negative, because in the Web3 ownership is only by the user, and if you lose your wallet or you use ownership of your wallet, you lost your content. So there is risks, but this is always a compromise between the risk and the benefits. And user, I see more of the education is primary in order to teach people to understand more the risk and the responsibility that they are taking when they are joining the Web3, where you have login using MetaMask and Wallet Connect instead of login using Facebook. We are all used to now rely on these companies to protect our data or sell our data. Later on, we are now taking ownership of our data, and we need to be responsible more about what we do with our data and how we expose our data.
Yeah, and also to that point, security is obviously also very important. And the idea around everyone having an ownership of the data, the transactions, their money, and everything else stored is also very important. But the downfall of that, once again, is the fact that we're still relatively early. In other words, in order to run a certain game or certain metaverse or whatever you want to run to actually make that into real or flamboyant to a certain extent, it requires heavy backend data. And for those backend to be recorded all on chain, it's nearly impossible, at least in this stage. And that's actually one of the challenges a lot of these VCs are trying to look for, right? Like, what kind of technology, who actually has a talent where you can fully decentralize everything and allow people to own their data and funds, but at the same time still allow that another good user experience-wise. People use DB to store a lot of the backend engine and where gaming can actually run, but that's also very hackable, and you're not really using the full blockchain power. But right now, I must say that even with Solana, some of the large mainnet networks out there, it is quite difficult. So I do hope that that problem at least can be solved by anyone out there.
Yeah, and then there's the whole other side, regulations. Where are we at with regulations? What do you think needs to be done? What isn't done?
What does it mean, regulation with decentralization, right? Like, I think that that's something when we were talking about the infrastructure to be able to privacy, policies. These are all different layers that we will want to overlay in the platforms and ecosystem that we build on top of the blockchain to be able to protect kids from being tracked, to be able to protect the public from it. But again, this is being rebuilt. This is being built ground up, right? So we are in that intersection of receiving information and sending information within blockchain. But again, the more consumer experience, consumer products start getting in the market, and the more consumer behaviors start to evolve from those consumer products that start gaining traction in the market, we're gonna start to realize that all the different layers that needs to be built on top of the consumer platforms to be able for humanity to move forward and not move backwards, right? I think that just to put it into context, when birds, right, the scooters came out, they were all over the street, right? And there was no rules, right, or policies around how cities had to operate with them. That's happening in the most foundational stages within Web3, within consumer products in Web3. You can overlay art and sell or tokenize art that lives within our cities, and you don't need to pay the property owner in the real world. So we are so many years behind actually having the regulations and the laws around what is possible, which makes it for the creators and developers today, makes it an interesting opportunity because they're being part of shaping what is good and what is bad, right? So while it's a big opportunity, it's also a big responsibility to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes that we made within Web 2, and that we build a more human-centric approach towards leveraging the internet and data.
And, the pink elephant in the room, of course, is the bear market. What do you think will stick around, and what do you think won't stick around? And segue into what misconceptions have people had about your project in regard to explaining, the world of NFTs to them, to think that, the longevity of it.
Yeah, well, the bear market, some people see it bad, I see it good. be honest. Now it's flushing out all the hype that we had in the NFT space. We had a lot of hype, we had a lot of misconception. People were thinking, I'll buy this NFT before it was possible. I buy this NFT at mint price and I'm guaranteed 5x, 10x. There was more of a trading the NFTs. Now we see people are understanding more, they are learning, oh no, NFTs can go to zero. Some NFTs are scams, some projects. So we see that now people are learning more. This is what happened in the crypto space earlier on also. So it's the education, people are learning more what is the value of a project, that the community is more valuable. If we have a strong team, this is more valuable for the project. So we see this is like the morphing and the growing, where we have now the space is growing more. People ask questions before buying an NFT. They ask, what is the utility? Why I'm buying this NFT, not this NFT? This is maturity in the space. So that's why I'm very excited to what's happening. We're seeing a lot of new projects getting built now with a new mindset, with a new direction, which is a lot more advanced, more complicated than before, just having a PFP picture. So this is the transition phase, and this is how we grow.
Yeah, and also think the community. In the last question, it was really about regulations coming into the market. As some may know, at least in South Korea, it's been with a Luna incident happening, and people that can actually do do well, it's true utility and really reward the community that actually works for that utility. That's the idea around, play to earn model. The growth of the community needs to match basically the rewards that a lot of these players think would be the team. Our focus is definitely on those two main topics. Whenever they want to, purchase something, and incentivizing them. And
Yeah, I just to touch a little bit in what you both mentioned. I think I have two opinions. One, as it relates to the NFTs, touches both of them. As it comes to the Web3 space, there is so much infrastructure build that the bear market is just giving the opportunities to build without being judged. During the NFT.NYC last year, everyone was stressed. Well, this is not working, that is not working, and everyone is like, whoa, like, we need time to build. Like, we're working with very complex systems that are still very early, and they're not very friendly to work with, right? And not only for developers, but also for consumers to understand and digest, right? So I think that this is a great opportunity for builders and for builders of meaningful projects to continue to build without the noise of pressure at them. As it relates to the NFT market, it's interesting because FlickPlay, actually, we're minting today our Genesis project, and we have been working on it for about 4 months, right? And really, since the inception of it, for us, utility was a big aspect of it. And this was a time where people didn't care about utility. And as a matter of fact, a lot of big collectors would tell you this is purely speculative. If you add utility, you're never going to become a blue chip project, right? Like these were the conversations that we were having 4 months ago, just so you get some perspective of how fast the space moved. And even though those were the optics, for all was more important and sustainable long term. So we, within the collection of 5,555, we did partnership with Sandbox. So based on the traits of every flicky, you might, if you get a flicky with a piece of land on his hand, you get a piece of land in Sandbox. So thinking about how from a traits level, you can add through utility to consumers, so there is an extension of an experience from that image or 3D asset that they're gaining, right? All the assets are interoperable between FlickPlay and Sandbox. We have partnership with MLB All-Star players and Katy Perry, and it's all to cater different audiences. And the reason why I say this is because a week ago, when we were making the decision, are we launching right now, are we holding off? What I told my team is that we are not doing this for speculators to bet on the price of the collection. We are launching our Genesis project because it's the portal for other PFP projects to be able to leverage our infrastructure to continue to engage their communities, right? So I think that to kind of like short term, like to add perspective on the market today, if you're launching a project with true meaning and true value, it doesn't really matter how much it costs today, right? Because most of the biggest success within the NFT space haven't been projects that sell for 2 ETH, 3 ETH, are projects that have built with their community ground up. And this is a great time for early adopters to jump in, be able to get a utility-driven NFT for $80 and see it skyrocket in a few months.
And one last question. Any other takeaways, and where can we find you guys?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, to add on your point, that's the final thing is to take from that is this is the time to build. We already mentioned multiple issues and multiple pain points that we still have in the space, how on board the next 99% of the people, how people can interact in an easier way. The UI, the interface is still very early on. So this is a great opportunity in this time where we don't have this pressure of releasing project after project to build and continue building. There is a lot of issue we're still trying to fix. We're still early on. So you can look around anywhere you can participate and help. This is a very, very helpful and beneficial in this space. And I'd like to mention our project, the Meta Terrace, where we are launching today in this event, our Meta Terrace NFT project, NFT exclusive pass. You can find us on metaterrace.io, where you can benefit from multiple experiences, accessing our metaverse, having live experience. And if you're interested, we can show you the demo in the VR outside now after the conference. Thank you.
And Jake, where can we find you?
Yeah, you guys can just visit our website at claycity.com just to check out all the maps and the hyper-reality shows that basically we have on the website. Outside of that, look, if you guys plan to make any visits to South Korea maybe, we do have a huge community there, 30,000 members already, so, you know, more than welcome to reach out to me through Telegram or through Twitter, however you guys want. Thanks.
Yeah, so you can learn more about FlickPlay platform at flickplay.co. And if you're interested in our Genesis project, you can go to flickigan.io. And yeah, you can find me at Twitter at Merino Pierina.
Excellent. And you can find me at Harmon Leon on Twitter, Instagram. Let's hear it for the wonderful panel. And
Let's give a hand to the panel, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amazing energy that you brought to us, Harmon. Thank you for bringing it alive during lunchtime. So good.